Yes, hello and welcome to today's webinar featuring the Hoffmann Group and with the title of Improving Digital Collaboration in Marketing and Sales with Intelligent Supply of Product Media Assets. Today with me, my colleagues Sven, Jürgen and Stefan, and I will introduce them in a second. My name is Peter and I will guide you through today's webinar as your host. And first of all, I'd like to give you a heads up on how we structure today's panel. So as for a rough agenda, I will give you a short welcoming. We will then have our presentation of an in-depth scenario presented by Jürgen and the Hoffmann Group, give a little hands-on practice on how they really mutually combine MDM, product data, media assets, and streamline that within their organization and what the benefits would be. And then we have a in-depth panel discussion and Q&A session, giving us the chance to raise questions towards Jürgen and his team, but also directly to Informatica and CELUM and Parsionate as our implementation host and partner. Moving forward, just a general information, the session will be recorded and provided to you afterwards. We will send the recording with a link after the session today. So everything that, let's say you want to be raised as a question will be recorded as well. Please write your questions in our GoToWebinar question field so I can take it up and raise it directly towards our audience. And we can also use that to dig a little deeper in things you want to get to know. And anything that comes to your mind within the session today. So don't hesitate to type in your questions ahead so we can simply gather them and select the ones that we perceive really urgent, that should be raised towards our panel and should be answered by either one of our panelists today. So first off, the speaker's corner. On the one hand, we have Jürgen Mayer, as mentioned, Director of Product Data and Services within the Hoffmann Group. And obviously our special guest, as he will provide us with really in-depth experience and insights on how they deploy their solutions in-house, how the product was looking, what the challenges were, and really getting your hands onto practical experience here. Then we have Stefan Reinhardt, Director of Product Management from Informatica, and leading the MDM and Product 360 within the organization. So really somebody with in-depth knowledge regarding product data management and 9 years of experience leading that product stream. On the other hand, we have our expert for services and implementation as well, being Sven Reinhardt from Parsionate, being sales director over there, and really knowing how to, let's say, service clients with an in-depth perspective on how to gather needs and deploy that solution in practice as well. So as mentioned myself, Peter Mielke, coming from CELUM, being their key account manager and senior sales executive, also guiding clients within the respect of product media and data management as well, and hosting you through today's session. Now, what everybody would be waiting for, I guess, is the special insight from Jürgen directly, getting into practical hands-on experience and giving us an outlook on how you can effectively combine digital collaboration, marketing, and sales within the Hoffmann Group. Therefore, I will switch over to Jürgen so he can share his presentation with us as well. Now I'll make you the presenter and we should see your screen in a second. Jürgen, the stage is yours.
So hello from my side. As Peter already said, I would like to show you in a little bit what we did for collaborating and how to improve some steps for our sales and our marketing. Just have, now it should work. Just in the beginning, a few sentences for Hoffmann. Hoffmann Group is just wait, I have to, oops, yes, now. The Hoffmann Group is active in the trade and manufacture of tools, workstation and storage, and as well as personal protective equipment, and offers the associated consulting and services. The company is headquartered in Munich. The Hoffmann Group employs about 4,000 people and generated sales of around 1.4 billion euros in 2019. But coming to what is the interest of today. So what does our system look like? And I only would show some main topics. So we started with Informatica MDM Product 360 in 2014, as well as we did with the print suite from Werk 2. CELUM we started in 2017, and everything is now powered by parsionate since last year, and this is the main systems my department is responsible for in the Hoffmann Group. So some figures for our CELUM system. We already have version 20.7. We have about 275 users. We have about 250 product pictures, also 50,000 CAD files, about even more than 2 million data sheets, some safety data sheets, a lot of marketing assets, and in total, we saw about 3 million assets without any derivatives. We are using different types of import. We're using hot folder, the upload basket, SOAP transfer, and also we have to export a lot of stuff from CELUM. So we're using content delivery network to bring this all over the world with stuff, and also we need file share or export to file shares for some internal things, exchange with SAP, which is not so interested in using JPEGs and so on. We have two systems from CELUM, a acceptance and a productive systems, and we are always up to date with this system. So when we have no redundancies, and we are consistent overall channels. So some figures for the other main system, MDM Product 360 from Informatica. We are using right now, since autumn last year, version 10.0. We have data quality and business process management workflow, and we are working with the supplier portal to get stuff from our suppliers. Altogether, right now, the figures are increasing. We have about 1,800,000 items in our PIM system, and as we are a tool trader, it is necessary for us to work with a lot of classifications. Main parts are E-class and UNSPSC, but we have even more than 20 additional ones. For those who are interested in languages, we are working with 18 languages. We have about 4 million text fields, 400,000 unique translation memory entries, and for our catalog productions, we have up to 30 language currency combinations. But what was the time before CELUM? Have you ever heard sentences like this? Could you please copy all product pictures to our FTP? So we got this question maybe 20, 30 times a year, and you can imagine how often our pictures are saved on several servers on several subsidiaries. So it was incredible we made a search on the servers, and we found, depending on the rights given, up to 23 times the same pictures on several folders. So the amount was incredible for all the stuff we now have saved in CELUM only. Also, there were questions where I can't find the picture for item number 123. Please send. Typical question in the marketing department. Also, can we display data sheets and CAD files in one app? We don't like to switch always with applications. Or how can we reduce work for our e-code production? And on my opinion, one of the best is, sorry, I can't find it. I have to update my Excel list first. So one of the things I just told you is to find the right item number. And you have to know, we had assets, or even today, we are just on the acceptance system with this feature. Today, the assets at Hoffmann have no information about the item number. This results because the pictures are used for different items or even different products. And CELUM only users do not know where the item is used. So you have to go to the PIM system, to Product 360, and to have to look for. But so many people from marketing don't need normally a PIM system. So what can we do to assist them? And the innovation is adding, deleting, or replacing any image on could set an item trigger to the BPM workflow. And this sets the information in CELUM. So I just show you how this looks like in our system. The answer is on our side, BPM. So what is, this is the complete workflow set in about 1 to 2 days, depending on who is working with it. So for us, it was quite new. And it's just some special points. We have to evaluate parameters. We have to load the metadata from CELUM side. So you see it here. And then it is checked and the information gets back to CELUM on a special item. And it's more or less like a circuit. So how does this metadata go to CELUM? For example, this so-called item number. The user normally, or just say it different, we at Hoffmann have many pictures that come from our own photographers. They are photographing, they make the picture and upload it to CELUM. Then in the content department, there is a link set in Product 360, and then we can use it for exports, for electronic catalogs, for our shop system, and so on. But we are working now with the BPM and bringing this information already existing now in Product 360, more or less back to the CELUM. And it doesn't look very complicated. It is not such a big feature, but but the result for it is a very good one, because now our marketeers can use it, our product managers working with CELUM, they only use the search and type in the item number, and they get as a result everything that is connected, is linked with this item number. I would like to give you another thing that we are implementing. So our quality management in Nuremberg, in our logistics center, asked what can we do for bringing together more information. So the problem was we had a own development, but this development already every year needs to be updated. There are modifications. It worked only with file system, and it's renewed more or less only once a year. So you could see the time flies, and you can find less and less information that is necessary, even in the logistics part where time is money. And what we are doing right now is that some information like DXF files, so it's a CAD file or type of CAD file, we are bringing this to display it in CELUM itself. So the user can already, as a next step of the item number, could type in the item number. He is shown the picture, he is shown the data sheet, and more, he gets as a result even the CAD display. There are some more, as soon as we talked about working with BPM and bringing systems together, there are more ideas, like we as a company have to do with confirmation declarations, and it's necessary for these declarations, it's necessary to have them valid. So the validity needs to be updated. So one of the things is that we have a reminder in between the CELUM system to get a message when a validity goes to its end. And also we have discussions about bringing Jira as a ticket system together with CELUM or with other systems. And so what is the main message? Bringing systems together. And what we did is we're working with Informatica, we're working with CELUM, and we are assisted and powered by parsionate. And so this is what we need to have this information in different systems. One thing is important, you have to define your data ownerships. So when there is information on both systems, you have to define which one is the master. And this creates added value. So the thing is, like I said, the strength of a solution only becomes apparent when the data is exchanged between the systems in a meaningful way. And this was how we empowered our colleagues to work within their familiar system. And also, this is how these colleagues could have more possibilities to work within sales, within marketing, or in the product management. So everything comes together, and we using the best of it. Yep. And so I would like to hand it over to Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Jürgen. I mean, that was a great practical insight, I mean, on what the challenges were you guys encountered before starting into that project. I just want to take a minute while already, I mean, all of the attending guests we have today can already raise questions just as a remark, so we can take them up for the panel discussion. And then obviously just collecting them to jump over into, let's say, further details, the Q&A sessions. And I just want to summarize, let's say, from CELUM and also Informatica perspective, where we really see the crucial difference also embedded in that project. And obviously that slide would express especially that working hand-in-hand approach, having two leading solutions in their field, targeting obviously product data management and asset management on the other hand, and still, I mean, trying to retain a long-term technological flexibility moving forward. And this doesn't say that you have to, let's say, replace all of the existing tech stack you guys are using today, but you obviously have your marketing automation, maybe commerce, web CMS, and other channels you guys are servicing so far. But in this case, it is bringing together what in our eyes, let's say, would belong together, meaning you have product data overall, and this includes media, but it also includes specified product information. And through that, let's say, marriage that we've seen in that project, we had a huge gain for each individual target group also using those solutions. So it is less complex for creators working with product data now. And on the other hand, it doesn't limit the possibilities that you have going into more complex workflows. And let's say the most critical part in our perception is really getting that workflow across those relevant systems aligned, and also including your target audience. And this will be a question that probably comes up with, again, regards to Sven within that project and project scope that we've seen, how it is to actually align all of those stakeholders to not only, I mean, include their respective view on what they want to achieve, but also working hand in hand into that entire project scope that we've seen. So what I'd like to do, I will jump over to our panelist view again. So let me just get my screen back here and jump over to me as a presenter, show my screen again, and we will just have the presentation overview. And now you see again all of the four that you can raise questions towards, and I will simply read them through and address them to the according party. And to make a start, let me just start with Jürgen again, because I mean he has the insight, and I guess the first question could be thinking about back to where it all started. I mean, who would you see initiated that project? I mean, who was seeing the pain in your organization, and how was that project driven? I mean, how did you really collect all of the according stakeholders? Who was really the department, if it was one or maybe more, that was driving that project? And how did you actually get it onto track? I mean, who was the stakeholders involved, and really the ones pulling on that string to get it all started?
Yep, it's different. It's really different because we as a department are working very close together with content editors. So there is a constant exchange of ideas, what we can do. This goes hand in hand, more or less. It's good for our marketeers, but this is more on a technical way, more reflecting print solutions, and not so many things like the digital way of assets. And therefore, it comes really from different departments or different stakeholders. depends a little bit on how Hoffmann is structured. So there are the interest is what you would like to which information you would like to bring there. So for this example of DXF files, we would like to bring this stuff also to our electronic catalogs, and therefore it is necessary for our e-business. Or we heard from our product management, they are making some presentations, and they are always asking for where is my product picture. And the background is, as I said, Hoffmann uses the same picture for several items, and so no one is able to find the correct picture without the product 360. And for those who have no access to product 360, it's easier because they already use CELUM to bring this information into CELUM. So it's marketing, it's product management, and it's e-business, for example, for this stuff.
Right. Thank you for that insight. I mean, one question, I mean, to summarize, I guess, it's also possible to see and to answer by Stefan or Sven, I mean, as you like. It's a question towards application deployment. I mean, how is those, let's say, or how are those platforms typically deployed, especially in that case? Is it in the cloud? Is it on-prem? And how long did that implementation period for Informatica take? I mean, that's an explicit question, I guess, in the or directed towards Informatica, but it's also a question towards standardization. So maybe you can answer two questions at once. One is, okay, how is the deployment scene? Is it on-prem or in the cloud? How long did the Informatica implementation take? And there's one question, is it a standard integration to CELUM that you guys built that project on? So feel free, I mean, Sven or Stefan, maybe you want to dive into those questions directly and aim at them.
Yeah, perhaps I can give it a start and then hand it over to Sven, so he can prove me being a system implementer, working close with us. So in terms of deployment strategy, you do have a multitude of options. There is the possibility to run it inside Informatica Cloud, so that you would have a full subscription offering based on our own infrastructure, and that is I'd say the most popular topic or option to choose from as of today. We do have still the opportunity also, if you have your own deployment centers or infrastructure there you want to use, of course, to go with the classic on-premises model. So that's also a possibility. And the third one is also then working together with our partners like parsionate, for example, and have it cloud enabled with a third party in between. So these are the classic three models that we see, and all of these are definitely possible. Now, in terms of implementation time, perhaps also a few words here. I'd say that is there's no ultimate answer to this. If I see projects rolled out all over the globe, then I can see the majority of time it takes is definitely around gathering stakeholders together, having individual departments, functions, locations, teams sticking their heads together and thinking about how does a holistic global process for product experience management and information management look like. And that's the one that typically takes a while, right, to sort things out straight, to have your categories, your taxonomy set up, your workflows defined, your approval processes in place. These kind of things are the ones that take time. If it comes to actual system implementation, I would say it's relatively straightforward. I see customers that are, for example, upgrading. That might be a good indicator. They have their process and their configuration in place already. It takes them between 1 and 2 months, I'd say, depending on size of customization, how many tests you want to drive, how many systems you have from test to staging to production. but that's I think a reasonable time frame when we talk about major releases, of course. Yeah, and then Sven.
That's a good point to add on that. As we did just a release change with Hoffmann, so maybe Jürgen, you can give us some insights how much time it took to get from the older version to the current version at the moment.
So we made the migration to version 10 in October, and it took one release. So we're working in an agile form of 6 weeks, and we did it within one release. We had a little bit preparation before, but
that gives kind of a good indication.
And when I thinking of what we did in version 8, not with parsionate, it took us quite longer. Much more.
On top of that, as you asked for standard implementation time, how much time does it take to get an Informatica system up and running? That I agree on everything Stefan said. It depends. It's a usual consultant answer, of course, but it really depends on the project methodology you try to use. Nowadays, you more think like of an MVP approach, where you start to get the first business cases up and running within just a few weeks or months. Like Jürgen said, one release is one business case, for example, as we had it in the past, where we sit back in dark rooms in the basement somewhere, came back with after 1.5 years with the system up and running. These times have so much changed. So it's more like an agile approach now. I'm not sure if we still have any projects that running on classic waterfall methodology, but so it completely changed to a more agile and flexible mode. And there you have always the challenge to bring business value to the project. And as Stefan said, and you also mentioned before, Peter, it's not only about software. This is so much more. When we implement Informatica solutions and other software solutions out there, it's always part of the game to implement some software, but the harder part is to get all the stakeholders involved and also to kickstart this change management process, to switch processes in minds of the people of how they worked in the past and how they will work in the future with the system, but also how the organization will look like. So we'll have data stewards nowadays in these kind of projects that are responsible for data quality. They maintain quality gates for specific status of the product becoming a live product coming to the web shop. So all these parts play together when we talk about implementation. It's not just coming with the toolbox, screwing in some software, and everything is fine. It's more on an organizational and processual level, I think.
I just see two questions that relate to that. One might go to Jürgen or Sven, either one of you. How did you manage that, let's say, change management process when it comes to, getting the idea, hey, I need an FTP server to change images. That is one thing, and I can take CELUM to replace that. But how did you guide those users? Did you have intensive user training? Did you have a best practice deployed by your implementation partner that helped you through that process? But how did you manage that change? In terms of user adoption and changing people's minds on what sort of options they have on hand now?
The answer is talking to them like water from a waterfall. So you have to, you don't have to say, this is the new system, work with it, then it doesn't work. The thing is that you have to show with colleagues the improvements, the advantages. Then it is something what can be really used. And to underline what Sven just said, the thing is also that when you are implementing a new system, a new feature, the main thing is that you don't be fixed with former times. You have to think of what's going forward in future and how could you assist your colleagues, your customers, doesn't matter whom.
I think the critical thing here, on top of that, the most critical thing here is to involve the people, not to present them, this is the final solution, this is it, work with it, I will train you on that. Training is important, no matter about it. But the most crucial thing is to get the people involved, make them part of the project, ask them for their requirements, let them be part of the solution design. And then the change management is way easier. And just like Jürgen said, present them a progress. We accomplished the next big thing here. This is the next business case we went live with. This is what we got out of it. This is our business use from that. And provide that in kind of a project marketing or something like that. We have customers that write newsletters internally for their projects. What is going on in the PIM project? What are the new features that are live? What are the new business cases we went live with? What is the value we got out of the system? And continue this communication. That's so important for that.
Right, there's one aspect that just came up. I mean, apart from change management, and I guess that also tailors or targets around our standard integration that we would have in mind. It was raised now twice, just asking for, is there a standard integration between CELUM and Informatica, and how easy is it to deploy? And I'd say it depends, again, on your business requirements, because, I mean, yes, there is a technical solution that will combine CELUM and Informatica, but in the end, the process behind that and the definition on what data has to flow from A to B, and this is what Jürgen mentioned, if we have data sets in both environments, it is critical that we know what's the leading system for what data set, and then also defining the data flow. I mean, what product information needs to be in CELUM and vice versa. And there is a question that builds on top of that, asking, what sort of information do you maintain in CELUM, Jürgen, today for multiple countries? I mean, is it all assets for all the countries in one central system? And how do you get this information to your shop? Is it via CELUM or is it via Informatica?
CELUM right now is still increasing. So as we started, for example, with connecting the suppliers, we got more and more media assets push directly through the supplier portal PIM to CELUM, for example, or from the subsidiaries. They are at the moment not so familiar because our marketing is very centralized, depends on our structure. So you can't say this need to be right, the model of Hoffmann. It has to be constructed like the idea, it has to fit to your company exactly. And to bringing the second part of the question, the information that is in CELUM, we have to bring more and more metadata. It is brought more and more metadata with the stakeholders. They say, we need this, we need that. Could we please do this? Like I said, for example, the thing with the validation. And so this is not a installation and that's it. It's working and increasing and so on.
Just
there was another part of question. Could you please repeat this part of the question, the second stuff?
The second is aiming, I think, also towards Informatica as such. I mean, it's the question, I mean, what sort of system do you guys use for orchestration? I mean, to get product into the shop, I mean, is it pushed by the DAM or is it something? Right. Yeah,
it's Informatica, and we push it, or we have some triggers, and with a Delta provider or such stuff, we pushing every renewed information into our shop system, for example.
Maybe a follow-up for Stefan here. The question raised, hey, why do I need DAM and PIM? I mean, that's the typical question coming up. I mean, raised towards CELUM and Informatica, but also in general. I mean, I have two platforms out there, and yes, there is an overlap, but I mean, why do I need both of them in that context?
Yeah, that's a good question. It can be answered in multiple ways, and I guess depending on the role and the responsibilities you have in a company, you may or may not agree on a DAM and a PIM system are very much the same. What definitely is true is that both systems can cater to some extent on the requirements of the individual other, right? And that is, I think, mainly also based on being a true best of breed vendor, as you see it here with Informatica Product 360 as well as with CELUM, that we need to cater for a holistic use case as well. However, I can speak on Informatica behalf. It's very important to us that we keep some freedom to our customers. And if customers would say, we do have requirements around digital asset management that goes way beyond just catering for product data, and we do have that great leading system like CELUM in place for us, then it's our duty to keep our customers happy and look for a good integration pattern rather than trying to play one against the other, right? So you saw that, I think, also in some portions of Jürgen's presentation, and I know it talking to our customer base. There are user personas out there that are highly appealed to digital content, and they are used to work with a DAM system, and they want to only use a DAM system sometimes, right, and not just a PIM system that has some DAM capabilities or digital asset management capabilities. So that's just part of the truth, right? And on the other hand, you would find product managers, category managers, and other roles that would expect much more in terms of overall product information management duties than what a DAM can deliver for them, right? So that's, I think, why you see that coexistence and also that good partnership as in this webinar.
Right. I mean, there's one related question going into the print segment, Jürgen or Sven, depending on who wants to take it. What was the system you guys used especially for print, and how is that tying into PIM and DAM?
Yeah, we started, as I said, with Product 360 in 2014, and it was the same time when we started with the print suite from Werk 2. So we did it together, more or less. So depending on how we got on with the implementation of the PIM system, and also we started with templating and how we can manage the new lookout and so on of our printing catalog, for example.
Right, and that's, I mean, is consuming data from both platforms, so PIM and DAM?
Yes and no.
I know.
Yes, of course, because the pictures are coming from CELUM, but the print system, the print suite gets all the information from PIM. So even the place where the pictures are located is sent to the print system via the PIM system. So for our printing stuff, CELUM is the storage, and PIM is the keeper of all informations.
So the P360 bundles all the information from different sources, product data, text-based and attribute-based information from the PIM solution, and combine it together with media assets that came out of CELUM, and then we provide that to the print suite and print from that. So it's kind of it works in this way as kind of a syndication engine as well, so to say.
Right. Looking at the timing aspect of today's session, I think I take one further question and then we take a closer look at maybe rounding off by a closing statement by each of our panelists today. So maybe just a short insight on what sort of translation management did you guys use alongside your product metadata translations when it comes to CELUM and Informatica. For example, SEO information or alt tags information you have as just plain metadata.
Yeah. So when I really got this question, it's more. I don't know how to say. The stuff of the metadata is something. It depends on which channel you use it, for example. So you can't say, you are bringing this together and you send it there. So the stakeholders of these different departments or the different topics have in several occasions, this is the same metadata. And so we have to evaluate sometimes if it's better to use it like this or like the other interpretation, for example. So because you can't use everything in several slots, so otherwise you would spread the amount of information and you can't organize this.
Right.
This is one of the things.
Jürgen, maybe please correct me if I'm wrong, but at the moment, especially when it comes to SEO, optimized text and this kind of stuff, related to a media asset, talking about metadata of the specific asset, that is, as it is right now, not part of your translation process. Is that right?
No, for meta, it depends on, would you, for example, would you say that the keyword is a metadata? Then it could be translated, but normally it is not.
Right. Yeah. Maybe one question or last one for Stefan, and maybe connecting that to your closing remarks for today's session on what you would bring to the audience. I think that was rather tailored towards product information. I mean, how do you measure product completeness along that journey, especially in regards to Informatica? I think it's rather tailored around, okay, having the product stack, knowing to which degree something is product ready to be launched. And yeah, what would you, give us today as a closing remark, maybe in addition to that question?
All right, I try to keep it short and sweet. Thanks for that question. It's a very valid one to have. And first of all, I think most importantly, there is not the ultimate green or red light per individual product record. You need to include a certain context. We're not thinking of just one global, this is good, this is bad. We're thinking about multiple dimensions in terms of individual output channels, but also in terms of roles and process steps. Where, for example, in the initial new product introduction process, perhaps there is some good content already available for some teams, which means now 3 more teams come into it and copywriting comes in, or the media team to provide assets or others, right? That means within Product 360, you do have the possibility to configure your own rules on quality assessment and gates. And you can define them individually as a business user, and you can define them in a sense of output channel driven or process driven or context driven. And that means you're pretty much able to align it to your own processes and to be flexible in how you want to lay it out. What is important is that it's easy to do, that we have triggers and system events that listen to it, and that there's some follow-up action when something's not met, for example, and you need to act up on that, either the system automatically or the user individually. So now I'm trying to get over to my closing remark and trying to find some conclusion. But I think despite all the quality gates and quality reviews, what you can say is it's also up to the people. And I would just like to take the chance to also thank Jürgen one more time to walk us through this use case. You've seen he's using our product since 2014. They're currently on the latest release out there. There's a consequent evolution of how to modernize product data management within the industry, driven by Hoffmann. And I'm just very happy that you took the time and walked us through some of the daily aspects of it, rather than only shiny marketing things, right? How does it look like in reality and execution? I just wanted to say that that was a very interesting thing to have. Thank you.
Yes, Sven, you want to continue?
Yes, of course. I just want to add what I said before and encourage you all to not only focus on software. Sorry, Stefan, for that. But software is an important part here, but it's not the only one. We need to focus on processes in organization and keep business value in your focus, and add value to everything you do within your projects. Keep your users and your customers. When you talk about Jürgen's organization, the internal people are the customers. Keep an eye on them. What's their focus? What would they try to achieve, and help them to and empower them to gain more out of the systems and their daily business, and help them to make it as easy as anyhow possible.
Thank you, Sven. And yeah, I mean, from my side, thank you, Jürgen, as well. I mean, for your time today and your insights you provided. Maybe, yeah, a couple last words, what you would give us today, or we'd like to share with the audience.
Yeah, as I already said, it is necessary in such projects to talk to your stakeholder, to find a way to discuss new ideas, to be open enough to look for new horizons, and know to be fixed in what is old. So we did that every time, so it has to be like that. These were mistakes we also made, and but now I think we are a little bit yeah, better in this knowledge, and we are working more agile, more flexible, and yeah, this is that we get every 6 weeks to a new version. So this helps us a lot in all these systems. So it doesn't matter if it's MDM 360, if it's for Print Suite or CELUM. So yeah, this helps.
Great. So thank you, guys. I mean, for all your insights today and this, let's say, shared knowledge that we've seen in those panelist discussions as well. One last remark from our end. Obviously, there is a couple questions still remaining. We'll take the time after the session today to answer them in writing, and can provide them to you in addition. So anything that has not yet been answered could then also be answered in writing, and you can contact us anytime. I mean, just reach out via LinkedIn or any other channel that you perceive interesting. I have some contact information on the last slide, and then the slide deck that we can share with you in addition as well. So that, again, additional questions or any insights can be shared. Just contact us whenever you feel you want some follow-up discussion or further insights, and we are happy to share that also with Stefan and Sven, obviously. So thank you for today's session. We're just 10 minutes ahead of time. So yeah, we'll share the recording afterwards, and thank you guys for your attention, everybody that was bearing with us till the last minute. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye.